Chapter 52. Breaking into the Qinghe Sect. Qinghe Sect. In the middle of a pavilion, Song Shengping was looking at a red-clothed disciple of the Song Armor Sect in front of him. Not long ago, in the Song Armor Sect, Qinghe set up the 28 heaven and earth vertical formation again. Song Shengping looked at the red-clothed disciple. Yes, that grand formation was powerful on the end. The beginning ancestor didn't even manage to get an advantage in front of it, leaving hundreds of wounds all over his body. Jialong, a dragon's flesh couldn't even hold out, Song Shengping said with an ugly face. Patriarch, I think, the Qinghe Sect still needs to be careful, that Qinghe is treacherous and cunning, and has a big formation on his side, yet, that red-robed disciple worried. Afraid of what? Didn't Fu Blood say so? Qinghe needs a large amount of spirit stones to be able to do so. Does he still have spirit stones now? In the past, in Song Armor Sect, he still used our sect's spirit stone mines. Now that he doesn't have any spirit stones at all, how can he set up a formation? Unable to set up a formation, then he's just an innate realm, Song Shengping said in a cold voice. Yes, the key's spirit stones. Qinghe has no spirit stones, report. A white-clothed disciple rushed into the Great Hall. Why have you come back? Didn't I ask you to monitor the ancient mansion? Something happened to the ancient mansion, Song Shengping said in a deep voice. Yes, my subordinate is to report that the Qinghe borrowed spirit stones from all the nearby cultivators, the white-clothed disciple anxiously said. Borrowing spirit stones? Just kidding. That group of people are all set to rob Qinghe. How could they lend spirit stones to Qinghe? Song Shengping said in a cold voice. But they borrowed it, and they borrowed it with everything they had. The white-clothed disciple smiled bitterly. Song Shengping, how can something be possible? Are they crazy? Borrowing spirit stones to Qinghe, Song Shengping glared angrily. The white-clothed disciple immediately told everything. Song Shengping, Patriarch, Qinghe already has spirit stones now, the red-clothed disciple next to him said with an ugly face. Song Shengping had a jolt. Right, Qinghe has spirit stones, so he can set up a formation. If Qinghe borrows spirit stones, he can't possibly leave them at home. He's definitely going to make a move, either to the Song Armor Sect or not to the Qinghe Sect. Most likely he's already on his way to and from, the red-clothed disciple said with an ugly face. Don't worry, it's useless even if they come. The Qinghe Sect's great formation is already open. They can't get in, Song Shengping said in a deep voice. However, the 28 heaven and earth vertical formation, it's really powerful. We can't be careless. In the beginning, it was a heaven-shattering shout that came from the grand formation that repelled the beginning ancestor. The red-clothed disciple worried. Don't worry, he definitely won't be able to break the Qinghe Sect's grand formation. By the way, in the 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal grand formation, what was the first heaven-shaking roar? Song Shengping frowned. I also have some trouble remembering. It seems, the red-clothed disciple was in the midst of recalling. Right at this moment, a steep heaven-shaking roar came from outside the Qinghe Sect. Powerful and powerful. Boom. With a heaven-shaking roar, Qinghe Sect steeply shook the ground in general. The pavilion Song Shengping was standing in was shaken violently. Patriarch, Qinghe is here. Qinghe broke the formation. Patriarch, the mounting guard formation is broken. Qinghe is here. The cries of the Song Armor Sect's disciples came from all directions. Yes, that's the sound. Powerful and powerful, the red-clothed disciple shouted abruptly. Scram! Song Shengping kicked him to the ground, glaring and roaring. At this point, I still don't know. Still need you to say it. Bunch of losers, letting you guys check 4 traces of the ancient sea, only to find out when the ancient sea breaks the formation. What's the use of having you guys? Song Shengping glared and shouted angrily. In the midst of his angry shout, Song Shengping flew up into the sky. soaring high into the air and heading towards the direction of the loud noise. Outside the Qinghe sect, within a large formation condensed by clouds and mist. "Collect the spirit stones, quick!" Qinghe let out a loud shout. Clatter. Instantly, the clouds dispersed, and a group of villains gathered the spirit stones and followed Qinghe as he quickly rushed towards the interior. "My lord, over there. That mountain peak is where the Hall Master lived in the past." Chen Chonshan pointed in a direction. "Go!" Qinghe let out a loud shout. Rumble. 3,000 villains followed closely behind. "It's Qinghe, stop! Bold, Qinghe, you dare to break into the Qinghe sect." Immediately, some Songjia sect disciples appeared in the 4 directions, each holding a sword and pointing at Qinghe. "Don't mind them. They only dare to shout," Qinghe called out. "Yes," the 3,000 wicked people answered. Indeed, the group of Song Armor sect disciples, who had angrily rebuked just now, did not dare to go forward. How many times had they heard of the ferocious might of this group of people? If they were to go forward with a few of their own, in 2s and 3s, don't fight. Stomping would be trampled to death by the other party. Rumble. A group of people, quickly running towards the distance. "My lord, it's Song Shengping," a villain steeply called out. "Qinghe." A steeply furious rebuke rang out from mid-air. "Set up the formation," Qinghe shouted as his face changed. Boom. The 3,000 villains had long been accounted for, and quickly ordered the spirit stones to be buried. Huyu. A gust of wind blew through, and countless mists abruptly rose up from the ground. It wrapped the crowd in it. Huyu. Song Shengping also abruptly stopped in mid-air. "Qinghe, you really have a lot of guts. How dare you barge in?" Song Shengping glared and drank. "Powerful and powerful, Bear Yin." Steeply from amongst the countless mists, a gigantic square sky painting halberd rushed out. Song Shengping's face changed as he chopped away with a sword blast. Boom. The sword dipper and the square sky painted halberd collided with each other. Under the loud noise, the sword dipper shattered, and the square heavily painted halberd continued to chop towards Song Shengping. Not good. Song Shengping's face changed, and his figure retreated. Tear. Song Shengping's sleeve was chopped off. A huge wound was even cut out above his arm, dripping with blood. Retreating in the distance, Song Shengping showed a scowl. "HMPH, Qinghe, you're really looking for death. You borrowed the spirit stones, is it enough? I've heard Fu Blood say that you consumed a large amount of spirit stones during that time in Song Jia sect. Are the ones you borrowed enough for you to use? I'll see what you'll do when you've consumed all the spirit stones." All around, Song Armor sect disciples and Qinghe sect renegades gathered around. "Song Shengping, you're asking for death yourself this time. You actually dare to lay your hands on the One Piece Hall. Do you not want to live? I came today to take you down. To write the name of the One Piece Hall," Qinghe said in a cold voice from the large formation. "HMPH, you come then. Ha 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 ha, you can't leave, can you? This big formation of yours, it can only stop at one place. It can't move, right?" Song Shengping laughed coldly. The 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal grand formation could not be moved, and once the spirit stones were depleted, it would be the end of Qinghe. Buzz. The cloud mist grand formation trembled slightly. Following that, it slowly moved. What? Sovereign. How could this grand formation move? It moved. It really moved. Quickly. Quickly retreat. The faces of the crowd of Song Armor sect disciples changed wildly. Song Shengping's face also changed wildly. It moved. It couldn't be. How could it have moved? Didn't Fu Blood say that the 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal grand formation couldn't move? But the formation was slowly moving in one direction. But in the cloud formation, the 3,000 villains were once again fanning each other out, transmitting their true chi forwards to Qinghe at the very front. Qinghe probed his hand and sprinkled out countless clouds and mist. At the same time, a dozen or so villains were responsible for collecting the spirit stones on the ground. The 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal formation had already been removed, and it was now the Heavenly Sword Life and Death Bureau. The group of people against the ancient sea slowly moved towards the place where Long Wanqing used to live. As they passed along the way, a crowd of demonized people dodged away in fear. Song Shengping flew in the air several times, wanting to break into the big formation to get a glimpse of what was going on, but yet he stopped alive each time. The power of that square heavenly painted halberd just now was still fresh in his mind. If he hadn't dodged quickly, perhaps. Why can it move? 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal formation. Why can it move? Song Shengping was in the midst of a hideous display. However, the grand formation was still slowly moving. It slowly headed towards a mountain peak. Song Shengping, as well as the 800 demonized people, surrounded the cloud mist grand formation at the moment and froze, not daring to go forward. But they couldn't just let Qinghe walk recklessly. When would his spirit stones run out? Sovereign, that direction. They're going in that direction, steeply a demonized person exclaimed. Song Shengping's face changed. That direction. Wasn't it the area where Long Wanqing lived? It was the one that he had left the Qinghe sect to focus on searching. Could it be that Qinghe knew how to find the entrance and exit of Master Liu Nian's return? Or perhaps Qinghe had come to recall Master Liu Nian? Yes, surely. Song Shengping's face changed. Master Liu Nian. Song Shengping had never been able to see through. This person was gentle and elegant, but the few times he had eavesdropped on Long Wanqing's conversations, he had found out. So it was evident that this person was extraordinary. Must Qinghe be stopped? Nope. There was a way. Song Shengping's eyes narrowed. Shoo. Song Shengping flew steeply into the distance and disappeared from the crowd. My lord, Song Shengping has disappeared, Chen Chonchen called out. Don't mind him. Go to the Hall Master's residence first, Qinghe called out. Yes, the crowd answered. The group of people quickly ran towards the mountain peak where Long Wanqing was. And at this moment, Song Shengping was leading several people, sparing Qinghe and flying to the place where Long Wanqing resided. Tie it up, make it look like it, Song Shengping shouted. Yes. A group of demonized people quickly tied a man with chains on top of the torture rack. The man was no one else but the Qinghe sovereign. The Qinghe patriarch's expression was a complex one at the moment. A pained look appeared on his face. Patriarch Qinghe, Li Qinghe, you're already with us all the way. What's there to struggle for? You can't go back, Song Shengping said in a cold voice. Li Qinghe's face was ugly, but still, he nodded. I know, being made inhuman by you guys nowadays. I can't go back to my head, but, Song Shengping, you won't have a good ending either. When you were eating people, why didn't you say so? Moreover, Li Qinghe, you're still a mutated demonized person. Your aptitude that mutated out when you were demonized. Even Fu Blood is envious of that. Remember, you were demonized by Fu Blood. He's your patriarch. If Patriarch wants you to die, you'll die. What's the point of being loyal to the whole of One Piece anymore? All right, no more nonsense with you. In a moment, Qinghe is going to come this way. You pretend to be imprisoned, and then, you know, Song Shengping said in a deep voice. HMPH. Li Qinghe let out a cold snort. All right, Qinghe and the others are coming up. Let's go. Song Shengping let out a loud shout. Who are you? Song Shengping quickly left with the crowd of demonized people, leaving Li Qinghe bound above the torture rack in an emaciated coma.